And ladies and gentlemen, unless you've been living under a rock, you did not
wrong
know.
with you.
There is a blockbuster trade. The Miami's, man, they make it out like fat cats right now. Miami Dolphins made a trade for their third spot with the 49ers to get to 12. Then traded with the Eagles to move back up to 6. Nick, you just did your mock draft. This just put the landmine in the middle of all of it. Everything's just been blown out of proportion. What up, Nick?
It's blown now because here's the thing. San Francisco did something that people weren't sure, they were like, yeah, this team can move up, this team can move up. But when you first move up 9 spots to you end up at number 3 and you already have a quarterback, what does that tell you? Because you don't give up a couple of first-round picks, a third round, and this to move up 9 spots to just take anybody at number 3. You're looking at a quarterback. Yeah. Let's be honest. That's just, a 4-year-old could figure that out. And that's the thing, obviously they're not sold on Jimmy G, but they're also probably smartly thinking, we'll draft a quarterback. Jimmy can start this year, and we'll see how it goes. You let the kid come along and learn a little bit, see what happens. Mm-hmm. Because again, with anything, quarterback is nowadays quarterback is the most important position on a football field, right? Yeah. Everything lives and dies with the quarterback. So now that you've got number 3, well, let's see. That draft effectiveness here, we got number 3. You're looking at, everybody's talking about quarterbacks going, and it's pretty much looks like a lockdown that number 1 is Trevor Lawrence and number 2 is Zach Wilson of the Jets. So who does that leave you sitting at number 3? Well, it leaves a couple of people, but important piece of information. I'll tell on real quick because I know Delilah's got the NFC West info later.
You're good.
But
all right.
When you decide that you're going, the GM of the 49ers decides to skip Justin Fields' pro day to go see Mac Jones' pro day, that's got to tell you something. So apparently they're looking at Mac Jones at number 3, which, if you remember my mock draft, Sean, that leaves your Washington Redskins to pick somebody else. So there you go. Now you can be happy.
Hey, it's all great.
He's not going to be there for you, right? So there you go.
You made his magic. He's happy now. Yeah.
In the same token, as I thought before, if the Dolphins didn't take a quarterback, which they're not, they're obviously going with Tua, they would pick Jamar Chase at 3. Well, now you could probably get Jamar Chase at 6. Because the way it's going now, it looks like we could have 4 straight quarterbacks going in this draft.
Yeah.
And number 5, again, since they're the Bengals, you got to take Penei Sewell then. You need an offensive tackle. He's the best one available in the draft. So at number 6 there, Dolphins can still get Jamar Chase. You got your receiver. You've got your quarterback. You've got 8,000 picks in the next 3 drafts. Like, you're all good. And San Francisco drops back to Miami. The Jets drop back to 12. God, I'm so confused with this draft pick. The
Eagles.
I'm down.
Dolphins.
Eagles go to 12. Right. Eagles go to 12, which now opens up the opportunity for them to pick up maybe Michael Parsons at linebacker. This opens up a couple of other things for them to do. So again, everybody kind of made out in this deal because everybody kind of gets now what they wanted.
Right.
When you look at it, now they have the opportunity. They're in place to kind of get what they want. So, hey, more power to all of them. And you know what this does? It prevents not that they were really candidates for this, but it prevents my hometown Bears from pretty much being able to make a move to move up to draft someone. Because now you just that trade just blew everything out of the water. There's nothing you could give up now that anybody would take for you to move up. So that pretty much just bombed the Bears from doing anything either. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right. You got nothing. You got nothing.
Yeah.
You did everything to begin with, but now you got nothing.
But now you got nothing. And shout out to Nick, because later on tonight, he's going to give us an analysis of the NFC North, culminating with his Chicago Bears. And I want to hear this because, Nick seems to be a little passionate about this. Just a tad bit passionate.
I don't even. I have words later.
Right.
Who's next?
Delilah,
Go ahead. Who's next?
I got to come to you, Delilah, because as Nick mentioned, now 49ers moved up to this spot. Now, obviously, unless there's somebody else that strikes them, they're going to get a quarterback.
For sure.
But they have Jimmy G. Now, there's been this speculation that Jimmy G might possibly go back.
No, that was squashed, like, apparently, like, already, like, through a lot of the sources, like the ones that actually people trust, like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, right? They basically shot that down. Like, New England, they signed Cam Newton. They're gonna give him his other season. Makes sense, right? Last season, we know it wasn't a stellar thing, but let's be honest, right? New team, whole Bill Belichick's system is not for everyone. It's a whole, it's a whole different, it's just we know, right? Like, he's made winning teams, not just at the Patriots. I think people just think of him at the Patriots, but that's not where he started, So, like, he's used to being on a winning team, or at least one that's competitive, right? That you have to beat to be a winner, right? And so he's gonna stick with Cam. They're gonna do what they're gonna do with Cam Newton. Jimmy's staying over here in San Francisco. So they're gonna give him one more season as well to see, what they could do, what he can do. Especially since they're bringing back the majority of the core guys. Like, the 49ers spent more time during the trade and free agency re-signing a lot of their O-line, a lot of their defensive guys that really, like, made their team. We know we didn't see them go too far, but to be honest, the whole North is a sloppy mess anyway. So
West. Yeah.
So, and so I think now they're like, okay, we got our guy. Let's get a backup, like Nick was saying. That way we have someone in place for the future, because that is how you should think, right? And, whether it's Mac Jones, if that's, it might be who they end up picking, or it might be Zach Wilson if he's still there, right? Because that's the other quarterback that people have been mentioning. Zach Wilson has been mentioned, maybe because we don't know if Zach Wilson will go second or third, because Justin Fields, teams are, every draft we go, we know the only person we know for sure is going first is Lawrence, right?
Trevor Lawrence, right?
That's it. And that, it's like, maybe it will be Zach Wilson, or it could be Justin Fields. Who knows, right? It's very possible, because you do have a lot of talented quarterbacks in this draft, right? And so who knows what number, they may actually go. But they're definitely getting a quarterback. Okay, 100%.
Now, Delilah, then let me ask you this, though. Is this like a Ryan Fitzpatrick Miami situation where he's looking at Tua over his shoulder?
If I'm Jimmy, I would. Oh, yeah, if I'm Jimmy, yes, I would be 100%. That's going to be a very interesting situation, right? Because he's older, and we already know how that works, right? Older quarterbacks don't always mesh with the guy that they know is here to take over your job, right? We already know. We've seen it not work out, but you're still supposed to be that leader, even if you hate it, even if you want to chew broken glass, first. So yeah, he's gonna be looking over his shoulder for sure, because as soon as he's not putting in what the coach feels, the management feels, they're gonna put this kid in to see what he could do. And I don't blame them, because if you're gonna move up to third to draft quarterback, and your more seasoned quarterback isn't really doing for the offense what you expected him to do, what you re-signed him for, you're gonna put in the new stud. See what he could do with the offense, we're definitely going to see whoever they draft. We'll see him play the offseason, right? We're going to see him in the preseason, because we're going to see whoever they draft. We're going to see this kid play the preseason games. Now, I don't know if we actually didn't talk about this, but the NFL is thinking of making a 17 game, right? I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes.
They're thinking of doing it by not extending the season, but shortening the preseason, right? And so, so one of the plans was to readjust the preseason and make that shorter in order to add that, 17th game, because they don't want to play into mid-February, right, for the Super Bowl and all that stuff. But, it's not set in stone, but most, that's another, that's going to be something else that's going to be different if it does happen. Right. But yeah, we're going to see the kid, whoever they draft, we're definitely going to see him on that field during the preseason, and if Jimmy isn't doing his job in the regular season, he is gonna be, he's gonna be in that game. He's gonna be in that game.
And shout out to him. I mean, hey, you had an opportunity. You picked up a spot. You still have your starter, but you have an opportunity to potentially get somebody major. And what are teams looking for? Teams are looking for the Kyler Murray. They're looking for the Tua. They're looking for that young guy that's going to come and change the day. But and I think what this really, Nathan, I'm coming to you. What this really puts a spotlight on is if you have a number one pick or multiple number one picks, you can move up and you can make it this year. You can do an executive order and say, hey, I got 3 number ones in the next coming years. I want your spot. So what does this mean for Miami? Like, was this a good business move for Miami?
I believe it was because, one, I think it shows that the Dolphins have faith in Tua for sure. Yeah. And then also, too, you got to give Chris, my assistant, Geyer, the GM, you have to give him props. Of how he is building this franchise.
And put Flores in there too.
Brian Flores is too. Coach. Brian for sure. You know, I never thought how a bong. I was reading an article. The title was like how a bong can change the landscape.
Right, exactly.
And when, just a side note, you know, I believe the Ravens were going to draft him.
Yeah,
for sure. I said, okay, Tom was going to be drafted by us. And then when that photo leaked out, Ronnie Stanley. But no, in all seriousness, though, I'm sorry, I had to bring that up.
You're right. We were talking about that. I want to talk about that.
I think it shows good faith in Tula. Mm-hmm. I don't really understand where this notion was, well, he's not developed. He's not what we thought he was. You know, keep in mind, this is a guy that came off a hip injury while he was at Bama.
Right.
And then on top of that, you know, him, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and, you know, they were not really, Ryan Fitzpatrick was like, oh, you're benching me for this guy.
Right, yeah, and, like I
said. And then he's now in Washington. So I think that it shows that the Dolphins, like I said, they have faith in Tua.
Yeah.
Now, and again, you know, they could possibly get a wide receiver to play alongside Devontae Parker.
Right.
And I can't remember the other two cats. But for the 49ers, if I could talk about that, Sean, if that's okay. Yeah. I think if you're the 49ers, I think you also won this trade because I think I hate to say this, but Jimmy Garoppolo has some a tendency not to stay healthy. And I mean, when healthy, I mean the San Francisco 49ers are right there. Right. But if you're John Lynch, you gotta look, you have to look 3-5 years down the road. Right. Can I win a championship with this guy? No disrespect to Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, you're right. I'm with you though. I agree.
It's at the end of the day, he has to think about the future. So I think this year, this is a what they're gonna do with Sam Darnold, if that's the case.
Right.
Have him and then draft a quarterback and then say, well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, basically.
You know? Yeah. So I think this is a both.
I agree, and the 49ers have a young coach too, right? Shanahan is a young guy too, like, you know, and so like the younger coaches also mentally are a little different. Like we're seeing that, right? We're seeing kind of how they coach, like a different like kind of mentality of, you know, how to approach a game, how to connect with some of these kids, especially the kids coming out of college, right? Like, you know, so we'll see. I agree with you, Nate. I think both those teams won this trade so far. So far, free agency.
So far, yeah.
Where was San Francisco a couple years ago, everyone?
What?
A couple of plays away from winning a Super Bowl.
They were. That's what I'm
saying. We know that.
Don't think that that's not. Yeah, don't think that that's not in the back of their mind, and that they're in the now mode
for sure
as well. You know what I mean?
Now look,
always.
Now to that point. In that championship game, how many passes did Garoppolo, and this is towards your point of getting a quarterback, how many passes did Garoppolo throw in the championship game? He threw 6. You know what I mean?
It's only okay,
yeah. And then in the Super Bowl, the 6 or 8. And then in the Super Bowl, they really did. I mean, they were up 10, like you said. They had a chance to win, and they gave it up late in the game. That was on them. But they need that quarterback. And the fact that they moved up to make this move to get a quarterback says 2 things. Says, 1, Garoppolo, you're on a leash and your days are numbered potentially, unless you bring us back to that point. And 2, whoever this new guy is, you're going to come in early. I mean, even if they just bring you in for a certain package or something like that, they're going to bring you in early because, like you said, Nick, they're not going to sit here and make all these moves to come up here and get a receiver or a lineman. You know what I mean? They're going for a QB.
Well, that's what it makes sense too, because you also want a quarterback who's NFL ready. And if you look at the list of these guys who are coming out outside of Trevor Lawrence, you go with Mac Jones, who's probably the most ready in terms of NFL, right? So in that regard, it does make sense. And again, you want to win now, but you're going to give it right. You said you're going to start Jimmy G. It looks like he's still there. And again, they could throw us all for a swerve and they draft somebody else. I don't think so, but wouldn't that just be fun if they decided? Yeah, there you go. Draft Todd Sauerbrunn. Remember when the Bears took their first round pick in a punter? We won't talk about that. But all I'm saying is, I think the 49ers know what they want to do. They're ready to win now, and I think they've got a plan, and now they've executed it, and all is well with the world.
Right. It was a deliberate move. And Nathan, real quick, Nathan, I'm gonna come to you. Got to shout out Cameron Crump talking about, hey, give Jimmy another year and see if he can stay healthy, just like what you said, Nathan. Nick, Wendy said, I'm mad at you for what you said about her Badgers. I'm mad at your Badgers, Wendy, so get out of here.
What did I say about Wisconsin? What did I say bad about the Badgers?
That they wouldn't make it after the first round. After they knocked us out there. It was true, right? It was true.
I still love you, Wendy, but I was just telling the truth. If you want smoke, that's a different story. But I told you that was going to happen. Let's just say it, right? I just told you that was going to happen.
What were you saying?
Well, also for their plan for the 49ers to work, let's also keep in mind they lost some key pieces last year due to injuries. So it really wasn't just not just Jimmy Garoppolo, but they had a lot of injuries. So I think also too, it could be a quarterback, but also too, we might have to start. San Francisco is going to have to start thinking, like Nick said, it's win now, or do we just say, you know what? Let's just build it from the scratch and start over again. So that's also something San Francisco has to think about.
Right. Yes. And at the end of the day, I mean, the Dolphins obviously came out like fat cats. San Francisco, depending on the pick that they make, I mean, they could really come out this thing the winner too.
I mean, if they go with Mac Jones, like Nick is saying that he saw the report side, I don't know. But I know we're joking and we're making fun and stuff like that. But like, that kid to come out and surprise everyone just because of all the negative press he's getting. Like, I want him to do good. I want this kid to be like, fine. If he gets drafted by the 49ers, I hope he comes out and just like shuts all the haters up. Like, I think that happens though.
So, Mac Jones, you have a supporter in Miss Delilah Crespo.
Yeah, come on, kid. Let's do this.
I have to shout out Nick, because like Nick said, we've talked about Alabama quarterbacks and their history, but right now in the league, you have two starting quarterbacks. And both of them are represented in this trade.
Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's right. Exactly. So shout out to him for sure, because let's see what happens. I'll probably be made to eat my words later because I know Mac could probably do something dominant. But I got to get off this because it's depressing me. Watch it all day, baby. Let's go. Yo.